everybody, it's Ann Kaplan from Mom Me, your mama resource from conception to college, wherever you are on your momming journey. We are here for you. And this week we're talking about anxiety. It is a big deal, you guys. It's super huge because, and this was actually a big surprise to me, believe it or not, but when I became a birth professional, like part of doula training is learning how to watch out for signs of depression and postpartum depression in our clients when we go and have our postpartum visits, and making sure that we talk to them about mental health and stuff like that prenatally. And of course I did that, but what I learned after years and years and years of working with pregnant moms and working with them after they've had their babies, what I was seeing a way more often than depression was anxiety. And that's when I started realizing, like, I need to start talking to my moms, not just about depression, but I need to just be talking about, in general, postpartum mood, and even more in general, mood. It can be 2 years after you've had your kids and you're still struggling with anxiety or depression. It could be, a lot of people don't know this, but you could get postpartum depression, your baby's 1 year old or whatever. For me, the magic age is 2 years old. That's usually when the SH hits the fan for me. And I know that about myself. All 4 times, like clockwork, I just really had like an existential crisis right around that age. But I'm seeing so often with my clients that they have anxiety, not depression necessarily, or maybe they have both. But let's talk about anxiety, and I'm going to share with you guys something that is a tool that we do all of the time when I'm teaching childbirth classes. But guess what, you guys? As I became a childbirth educator and at the same time working with more and more moms, and at the same time my kids are getting older and I'm dealing with that stuff myself, I'm learning over and over and over again how much the things that we teach in childbirth education about how to deal with labor and what to expect about pregnancy and postpartum, they are universal. They are tools that work for everyone, and that's what I'm going to show you guys right now. So I'm actually going to turn my camera around so I can draw a little demo for you guys. So check this out. Okay, so this is my makeshift little stand for my demo because I'm in Barcelona right now and I don't have my tripod with me. But I'm going to talk to you guys about something that I teach all the time in my childbirth classes. And if you're a childbirth educator, you've seen this a million times. It's called the FTP cycle, or the fear, tension, pain cycle. So let's talk about that. Let's say that you have a fear. It could be about your birth, but guess what, you guys? It doesn't have to be a fear about birth. It doesn't have to be about birth at all. But I'm going to talk about birth first, and then we're going to talk about parenting. So let's just say you have a fear about the pain of contractions or what's going to happen to you in labor or whatever. When you have a fear, when your body is worried or scared, you feel tension in your body. You feel tension because you're scared. It's your natural body's reaction to fear or worry or anxiety to become super tense. Okay? And when you're super, super tense, and then the thing that you're afraid of or the thing that you're anticipating with fear and tension happens, it's really painful because your body is not relaxed. Because your body is bracing itself for that onslaught, that tension and that fear lead you to the actual sensation of your experience being worse, being more painful. And guess what? Once you have that pain or that negative feeling, it only makes your fear even worse. And you guys can see how these 3 things feed on each other into this horrible downward spiral. And when we're talking about labor, we're talking about the fact that, like, your fear or anxiety about your labor leads you to be tense about your labor, which leads your labor to actually literally be more uncomfortable and more painful. Well, guess what, you guys? It doesn't matter if we're talking about labor or we're talking about birth or we're talking about postpartum time or parenting, or guess what? Anything that doesn't even have to be about parenting at all. It could be like a new job, a job interview, or whatever. If you have fear, we can easily call this, instead of the fear, tension, pain cycle, we can easily also call this the anxiety instead of fear, and then the frazzled instead of tension, and then the unhappy and misery instead of pain cycle. Okay? So I want you guys to think about the fact that when you're anxious and you have tons and tons of worry about stuff, this could also be worry, all of these things, these anxieties and fears and worries that we have, they lead us to have tension or feel super frazzled or overwhelmed. And what we're really saying here when we are talking about this stuff, it's, if you want to put like an actual biological term on it, it's fight or flight that we're feeling. When our body is in fight or flight mode, we're not capable of relaxing. We're not capable of being present in the moment or chilling out or putting things in perspective. All those things that we know can help us with this whole worry and anxiety thing. We are trapped in this fight or flight place. And literally the hormones that are released when we're in this place make us feel more discomfort, more unhappiness, more misery, okay? And that stuff just feeds our anxieties, our fears, our worries, okay? So if you're pregnant and you're in labor, when we talk about this in class, what we talk about is how do we break this cycle? How do we change this fear and worry and anxiety and get rid of that, kick that out? The answer is education and knowledge. How do we get rid of this tension and frazzled feeling and get ourselves out of this fight or flight place? The answer is learning how to relax and live in the present and not be focusing on the future and our fears and our what ifs so much. Okay? And that's how this whole thing is going to become less painful, more happy, more centered, more balanced. Okay? So now you get to see all my super duper scribble scrabble, but that's all right because that's what I want you guys. Okay, so I want you guys to think about this in terms of your life right now. If you're struggling with anxiety, whether it's anticipating a birth and you're scared of it, whether it's because we're worried about stuff happening with our kids, whether it's just because we have an anxious personality or whatever, this lesson, this whole little triangle thing that I'm showing you is not something to use to make yourself feel guilty, like, oh my gosh, I'm so anxious, and that's the reason why I'm so unhappy, and that's the reason why I can't relax. No. This education is to help you guys learn how to understand the way that the mind works so that we can understand how to kind of trick it into working better for us and get that fear and that anxiety lessened so that we can have more joy, have more balance, have less discomfort when we're in labor or when we're not in labor, but we're just living our lives. Like, I want you guys to realize that the more that we can work to move away from anxiety and fear and stay in the present, stay knowledgeable, arm ourselves with power and confidence, learn how to relax and accept and stay in the present, that those things are going to be so much better. And I know what I'm talking about from experience, you guys, okay? After my last kid was born, I had the worst postpartum depression, but guess what? Instead of going away, it just turned into postpartum anxiety. And I was like having crazy thoughts. Like, I remember going on a hike with my friend Kathy and with all of our kids, and it was a totally safe, normal family hike. But the entire time I was having these like horrible panic moments, thinking about my kids like falling off the side of the cliff that we weren't even close to on this hike. Or every time I would cross a bridge with my baby in the stroller, I would imagine like pushing it over the edge of the bridge or something horrible like that of course I'd never do. But my brain was running away with me. And if that's happening to you, you're not alone. There is help you can get. There are solutions to this problem. And don't let yourself live this way because it doesn't have to be like that, you guys. And if you are pregnant, I want you guys to understand that on Sunday, I am doing a free webinar for you guys that is all about getting rid of this fear and anxiety, give ourselves permission to plan a birth with excitement and confidence and joy, and not let things like pressure and anxiety and fear be the things that dictate our births. And if you guys are interested in that, I'm going to put a link in the comments below to register. The most important things for you guys to know about this webinar is, first of all, it's virtual. That's why it's called a webinar. It's free. It is not about what type of birth you have. I'm not advocating any one type of birth. I don't care how you're birthing. What I care is how you feel about how you're birthing. And at the end, I'm going to be doing a live Q&A and giving away free stuff. I'm going to be giving it to everybody who tunes in live to the webinar. Everyone is going to be getting a birth planner guide and a doula guide. So if you guys are planning a birth, you need to be on this webinar, okay? I'm going to put a link in the comments below. It's on Sunday. If you're in Denver, it's going to be at 9:30 in the morning. If you're not in Denver, it's going to be whatever time it is where you are. And if you're here with me in Spain, it's going to be at 5:30 p.m. I hope you guys tune in. I hope that this anxiety conversation, this fear, tension, pain, or as we can also call it, anxiety, frazzled, misery cycle makes sense to you and can be maybe a little tiny crack in the door that's going to open up into a life of a little bit more happiness and a little less stress for you guys. I love you guys so much. I'm going to be talking about anxiety all week. So tomorrow we're going to be talking about anxiety when it comes to things not going the way we want, whether it's your birth not going the way you want, whether it's your life as a mom not going the way you want, whatever. How can we work to accept those things and use that acceptance as a tool to cut this whole fear, tension, pain cycle down, okay? And on Thursday, we're going to be talking about this kind of cycle that I see all the time with my moms, which is mama anxiety leading to mama guilt, and then feeling guilty that you're so anxious, which makes you more anxious. Am I right? Does this sound familiar to you guys? We're going to be talking about this stuff all week long. Thanks for hanging in there with me, guys. I love you so much. I hope you have an amazing Tuesday. Bye.